Hi everybody, the old naked man here. So how's everyone doing today? Would you be interested in hearing a story about my water skiing experience? Uh, Maybe about my embarrassing moment when I was water skiing? Do you have any stories of your own? I'd sure like to hear them. What was the first time you went water skiing? How old were you? Um, Anything happened while you were water skiing that embarrassed you? Well, it sure did for me. Well, first let me explain that I can't swim. At least can't hardly swim. Can't go any distance. If I can't touch the bottom and there's nothing close by that I can grab onto, I tend to panic. So I guess I can swim a little bit, but not very much. Anyway, I'm working for this farmer, and him and I got to be pretty good friends, more like brothers than employer relationship. So one day, beautiful hot sunny day, and I'm out working in the field, and he pulls up in a pickup truck, and he says, "Shut her down." He says, "I want to take the boat out and try and go water skiing today." So I'm sure, why not? Sounds like a good idea to me. It was pretty hot and dry out in the field anyway. So anyway, load up the boat, and him and his family drives out in their vehicle, and I head out in mine and meet him out there. So get to the lake and unload the boat in the water. So his boat is an old cedar strip boat with the outboard motor in the back. Well, apparently with cedar strip boats, when you put them in the water the first time in the season, they tend to leak a little bit. And so he's explained to me that the boat needed to be seasoned. Well, I didn't have a clue what that meant. But anyway, uh, we're out in the water. We're getting a fair bit of water in the boat. And apparently, seasoning the boat means that when it's in the water, it gets wet, and the cedar swells up, and it seals the joints between each strip. But anyway, we got a fair bit of water in the bottom of this boat, and so he decides it's time to siphon some of the water out. So him and I go out. We're the only two in the boat, thank goodness. So we go to the lake, and he explains to me, he says, it's going to get the boat going full tilt. And he shows me there's this plug in the bottom of the boat at the back. So he says, when I get it going full tilt, he says, you pull that plug out of there, and there's a little siphon that'll pull the water out of the boat. So, well, that sounds pretty simple. I can handle that. So, anyway, we get going along, and just nicely get up to speed. And so I reach down and I pull this plug out. Well, all of a sudden the motor quits. Well, there's a wake behind the boat. Well, as soon as the motor quit, that wake come right over top of the motor, right over top of me and into the boat. Well, now we got a heck of a lot more water in the boat than when we started, and I've, thank goodness, still got the plug in my hand. So I managed to get the plug back in the bottom of the boat before we sink it completely. Well, we got no paddles, so here we are out in the lake, and finally somebody comes along and pulls us into shore, and we get it back on the trailer and manage to get the water out of it. Never to get to go skiing that day because we couldn't get the motor running. So anyway, now the embarrassing moment that happened while I was water skiing. So we got home, and a few weeks later, we're going to try this again. So off we go. He loads up his family and a few beer, and away we go, heading to the lake. And so again, I meet him out there in my vehicle. So anyway, this day the boat's working good, and not stalling, and we had enough water in it. It sealed it up, so it wasn't leaking. So that was good. Well, he's really wanting me to try water skiing. So I keep explaining that I really can't swim, and he says, well, you don't need to worry about not being able to swim. The life jacket will hold you up in the water. So all you got to do is lay back in the life jacket, get the skis on, and then we'll pull you up on the skis. So I decided, well, I'll give it a try. I don't know how many times they tried to get me up on my feet, but it just didn't happen. But eventually we got there, and I got skiing along, and it wasn't going too bad. I was starting to get the hang of it. And so I'm off on the left-hand side of the boat. And like I said, him and I are always joking and pulling tricks on each other. So I'm going out there on the left side of the boat, and I'm going along pretty good speed. It's kind of like just kind of leaning into the boat, and seem to have more control that way. So anyway, we're going along, and all of a sudden he cuts the boat to the right. Well, here I am at the end of the rope, and if you've ever played crack the whip when you're on ice skates and you're at the tail end of the line, you get going pretty darn good. So here I am just flying out there in the water, and so then he turns the boat to the right. Well, the next thing I know, the rope's just laying in the water. I got no tension on the rope whatsoever, so I'm just drifting along on the skis on top of the water. So the skis are just starting to go under, and so he cuts the boat back to the right again, and the rope tightens up. Well, it just sent me flying. I went head over heels, head first into the water. My skis come off, and my bathing suit's down around my ankle. Well, everybody in the boat thought that was pretty funny. His wife's sitting there; she's got this big grin on her face, and he's just splitting the gut laughing. Well, they thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty embarrassing. So I got up, many more times that day on the skis and had a really good time. But that was the last time that I ever did go water skiing, unfortunately. So, anyway, I'll tell you about another trip that he went on, but that's a story for another day. So thanks for joining. I hope you'll join me for my next video. So this is the Naked Old Man here, wishing you all an awesome day. So bye for now.